Okay, my name is Giyoung Park. I'm a design researcher at HKS Architects. I'm going to present a part of my dissertation study that I conducted at Cornell University. So the title is Eating Alone with Facebook, and not long ago, a series of photographs spread over social media, and all the pictures were depicting people looking at their empty hands as if they're holding a phone, tablet, or a laptop. And why does it matter? Why this photographer going to show something about technologies and social interaction? Some say information is rewarding, so we seek information. Some even argue we are consuming information too much. Instead of information overload, we are actually experiencing information overload. The trade-off is that is divided attention. Somewhere in Europe, try to separate phone users on the street versus non-users so that they don't bump into each other. But apparently it doesn't really work well. And you can, the screen use can influence face-to-face interaction. Two recent studies say even the presence of a cell phone nearby can undermine the quality of social interaction. A sociologist, Irving Goffman, says people have negative impression of being alone in public. And because of that, people tend to make an excuse to be there alone. Traditionally, reading a newspaper or magazine, these days, looking at their cell phone. But if you're using a cell phone or mobile phone, your use of screen may leave your friend or significant other as if they're being alone in the public. So this study started from what's the dynamic between online interactions versus face-to-face interaction in public, especially social settings, and if and how environmental attributes are associated with. I'm going to skip this. So that's this study started from, and also I was interested in if there are also interaction effects among physical and social environments. I also used the sound levels. So this topic is pretty new, so I did sequential mixed methods, starting with qualitative work, focus groups and interviews using freshmen and sophomore students, as well as dining hall employees. And then I had there's a Facebook website called Cornell Confessions. So, and Cornell is not the only school having this page. Anyone can post something anonymously, and there are quite a bit of posts showing up every day. So I learned about the pages from one of the focus groups, and I started subscribing it. And some of them were related to dining hall experience and social interaction, as well as social network building on campus. And then I conducted semester-long observations, which I'm going to talk more a little bit. So from the qualitative work, I learned making friends on campus is very important, and dining halls are among a social hub on campus. And one of the participants say, we never let the dinner group, his suite mates, eat alone, even if they have something to do. For example, exam. Then they change their dinner schedule so that they can have a dinner mate. And interestingly, eating alone was a metaphor to express social isolation on campus. see at the bottom of it, I guess it's just me, my phone, and my computer. So based on this, I did a series of pilot studies, how to observe people in the dining halls. So what I came with is time sampling methods. Every 3 minutes, my research assistants and I observed one diner for 20 seconds. And then we recorded how many people are at the table, where they're eating, they're using phone or not, and what other activities they were doing. So we did up to 9 time samples per person. So it's about 25 minutes. So we observed 832 diners over the semester, which generated 48 time samples. And then we recorded where they sat on a floor plan on the back of the sheet that I just showed here. And then we coded whether they were sitting by windows or by a column or hallway, a corner location, and by wall. Those who are eating alone definitely have more phone use. Most of them use their mobile phones, far less laptops and far less tablets compared to smartphones or cell phones. Those solo diners use their phones a lot more than others. And interestingly, there is a group effect. So more face-to-face interaction up to about 6 diners, and then it decreases. Also, the phone use decreased up till 6 persons, and then it increased. This might be because if you are having more than 6 persons at your dining table, you sort of divide into smaller groups, losing group effect. I suspect that there will be some social influence of phone use. If your friend is using smartphone, then you might also look at it because you don't want to feel left out. But in my study, not much. There are some more variations among those who have screen users nearby, but there's no specific pattern. Sound levels was also associated with phone use. When it's louder, less phone use was observed than when it was quieter. Table types was also related. These 3 were about the same. Large round tables had less phone use compared to small high round tables, long rectangular or small rectangular tables. There were only a few small regular height round tables, so we were not really comparing them. When I was looking at the association between physical attributes and behavioral outcomes, there was not clear patterns. But when I included in whether they were alone or not, corner location shows some patterns. Those who were in a corner, eating alone, had far more phone use compared to the others. But if you're with someone in a corner, then you have less phone use compared to the groups in non-in-a-corner location. Studies say people prefer corner locations because you have greater enclosures, but you might not protect solo diners. My speculation is the corner locations are more popular and preferred, so they may experience more unwanted eye contact. So that's one explanation I suggest. Group size also interact with corner locations. We just saw the group effect may decrease after having more than 6 persons at the same table. But bigger groups in a corner location didn't lose the group effect. So they benefit the greater enclosure of the corner location, even if they are bigger, much bigger groups. So I'm going to show this side by side. So we also looked into whether social density, how many tables were taken, or just the immediate surroundings, and the sound levels. So this is like one of 5 tables were occupied, just around your table. And if it's loud, less phone use compared to it's quiet. So this can mean it's not crowded, and your immediate area is also not crowded. But this can be, there are quite a few people, but you are not experiencing crowding. And this diverging effect disappeared when the sound level, when immediate social intensity is higher, so you have more tables taken, and the effects of sound levels decrease over time. So, to summarize the findings, dormitory dining halls are still important for college students, even in this digital era. Eating alone can be a metaphor or one pattern they experience when they are not having good social network on campus. Group size is associated with screen use as well as face-to-face interaction in a quadratic manner. As the group size gets bigger, then less phone use, up to 6 persons or so, as well as more face-to-face interaction. But that flips. Sound levels, indoor space is considered harmful, as well as crowding. But if it's a social settings, it may not be necessarily harmful. This study has some limitations. I used 2 of the dining halls on campus in the freshman dormitories clusters. So more settings can be examined using the same method or similar methods. The physical variables are examined individually instead of having multiple physical variables at this point. So this can be further examined. And sound levels were measured only at the beginning of a meal. So when one person started the meal, and we measured the sound level at each person at the beginning of the meal instead of throughout the meal. And demographic variables were not fully identified. We measured if they're males or females, but in many college settings, many studies using college settings, as well as other studies, underrepresented minorities and other demographic variables can be influential. But having this observational study, those were not possible to do. So implications, I would suggest to increase variety in environmental design. So many studies try to encourage social interaction in public settings, but this may make those who are alone in public feel more uncomfortable. So my suggestion is increase options and variety of environmental features so that people can choose depending on what they want at the moment. And as I showed the corner location, those who are alone versus large groups, especially for those who are alone in public or in social settings, visual privacy may be more important for them. questions?
Did you consider at all how to get people to stop using their cell phones or devices? Or would you consider that in the future kind of social settings or social environments? Encourage people not to engage in those words that are more
When I started this study, I thought using a phone in public settings is something negative because they're less likely exposed to urban diversity. But when I was studying, when I was working on this study, I also learned that using a cell phone is not necessarily negative because it could give place to escape if the given situation is stressful. So it can give a means of escape from being uncomfortable to be alone. But at the same time, I saw many diners coordinated meeting people in the dining halls. Hey, I'm here. And then I could see this person is texting someone who's waiting for, and it was obvious often this person is like, I will be with someone very soon. So it's not necessarily bad. Also, those who are alone, at least they can connect with someone and that can help, that may help to cope with stress, whether it's because of being alone or stress from the school.
So how did you choose dining commons as your basis for study? Are there other environments you would like or may want to explore this in?
Yes, that will be my next study. I actually titled tentatively Eating Alone with LinkedIn because I was interested in workplace lunch. If the lunch space in office would influence social behavior and also cohesion among colleagues.
And I'm curious, what's your take on utilization of cell phone in learning environments? Because right now, as an instructor, I always see my students on the phone. Also, when we go to conferences, people are even professionals are constantly with their phone. So is this really a new form that we should accept as a norm, and it's constructive, or is it destructive?
Definitely, I would say divided attention, but while I'm working on a study in high school, and when I was observing students in high school, using laptop is a norm. And technology is getting more and more integrated in learning, so it seems it's hard to ban. But I also saw some articles about, especially law school professors get super annoyed by students' cell phone use, and they actually ban the laptop use at all. So it's I wouldn't say it's one way or another, but and students also said from my study, online using laptops to learn at home is more distracting because they don't have any restriction not to use Facebook or Snapchat or any kind of screen. So it is, I think it's hard to ban entirely, but I also saw some let's be mindful about screen use. Like Harry Turkle's work on reclaiming conversation, he would featuring how cell phone use or laptop use, I just call it screen use, can be destructive in face-to-face interaction, especially between child and parent interaction.
I was going to ask a little more about one of the first pictures you showed was the family group, and that's something like, I mean, I'm sure realize they're not there. And I'm sure that can happen without a phone. And back when it was just newspapers or something. But do you have any more to say about that based on the social interaction? It's a good study.
People think, since there are more variables associated with cell phone use. I was reading about breastfeeding mothers using their cell phone and get criticized. But people say they just need to have an outlet because it can be very challenging. They have limited access to face-to-face interaction with friends and other family members. They're staying home. Then social media or screen use is the kids that escape from the stressful situation. I also learned that American Pediatric Society is they used to discourage the use of screen use until the child gets 2 years old, but they lessen the barrier because it's somewhat unrealistic. And also, there may be some other reasons. I didn't read the article completely, but they actually make it less strict. And did I answer you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I have like a just
You think after your next study
Yes.
that you might take this, say, to a different cultural setting, such as one in which face-to-face communication was traditionally just extremely important, and where cell phones are now entering into this kind of communication, such as and the kinds of effects this is having.
Right. Any other?
I may have missed it, but just one methodological question. Did you get permission from everyone that you were observing?
No, because it's observation in public space, so I went through IRB, but it was the exam.
So
Institution Review Board. So we went to research project, and the Institution Review Board reads over if there's any risk for the participants, but observation in public space is fine. I have to have surveys that was also exempt because it didn't have obvious risk for the participants.
no, I understand the point about no risk, but are dining halls public spaces?
I got permission from the dining halls. So dining halls were okay. And then the institution review board was, okay, your study is fine. So I didn't have any other process to go through. Any other questions? Thank you.
I just want to make a couple quick announcements. So the next thing is the closing remarks, which will be back in the Peter O'Donnell building in the Elvira Auditorium where we were last night. If you weren't here last night, you can figure out where to go. You can direct us out of here. Also, there are a couple posters in the room where breakfast tacos and lunch over. If you haven't seen those, go check them out. And while you're there, if you see food that's leftover food, please take some for your friends and family. Eat it now, take it for dinner, whatever.
Here we go. Well, you're next.
I'm next.
Would you like a hand? I have a map.
We've got about, I know it's about 300 meters away. It's ready. And I have to
Yeah, I am in this morning session.
down the campus over to
So this is that circle back up.
How you doing?
You have to kind of, he's on payroll. Yes, Tommy now. You know what, leave it that way, so we'll come.
Yeah,
He's in your eye.
actually, I do have. Yeah, well, the problem is I have an antique map that's 15 years old before that building started. Yeah. Its use is very limited.
I'm just worried about your agenda, because you don't need to mark time, so. أنا مو حاطط selfie في المكان المناسب. My car's on
I think I should.
It's not. Oh, I'm trying. Hold on.
Voila, hey.
Alright.
Do you have to remove the rubber?
Probably. Trying to find tripod case.
And the one